I don't know. We'll see. All right. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Thank you for listening to the last show and then liking and subscribing it. And you should do the same for this show. And of course, share it with your grandma if she's still alive. If she isn't, God bless her soul. Mine isn't. So no one should have hurt feelings when I say that. So we got a bunch of questions from you guys. But sort of an existential thing I want to get into quick before we take the questions, Brett, is I was really researching my dog. He's a Papillon. You know, they're the dogs with the butterfly ears and shit. They're really small. Because it just started to really occur to me that evolution must be extreme. If all dogs came from wolves, and this thing here in my house, that's like about 1.5 feet long and 8 inches off the ground. Like, how did that happen? What? That's the smallest wolf ever.
Well, I think there's a couple of true branches of the dogs or the wool or the canine species that dogs as a whole have probably stemmed from. Not necessarily purely from wolves. I mean, I think hyenas are their own little canine species branch. Regardless, the odd thing is, you bring up the different breeds and you bring up your specific breed, the small wolf and everything like that. But yeah, all of this breeding and changing has occurred over the course of like the last 120 years. Now, there were some branches obviously that have been bred into, and they obviously dogs have been domesticated for tens of thousands of years, but the ridiculous, branches that we have now, the pugs of the world, the teacup, whatever's, those type of dogs, those are all bred for a purpose. And you know what? One breeder just said, hey, you know what? I want a really small dog. So I'm just going to keep breeding the smallest dogs together. And eventually I'm just going to just something I put in my my man purse,
Well, I think the one sad thing about it all is that some of the breeding that we've done has really warped a lot of dogs that now have severe breathing issues and problems. They can't give birth unless it's a C-section now. I think that's the bulldog. I'm not sure. And you look at pictures of German Shepherds in Europe and how we here in the United States in the AKC has decided to breed them, and their asses are all like curved to the ground. Like, what are we doing to these animals? Can we not do some of those things?
So there are specific breeds that have been bred for a very specific purpose. So there's a breed. This is so off topic from what we're all going to be talking about here in just a few, but there's a breed in Texas that have taken some Argentinian type of dog that hunts, and they've bred it very specifically to hunt warthogs, and they serve a purpose. Whereas certain breeds don't serve purposes.
I'm not talking about that. That's been going on for hundreds of years. I'm talking about the breeding that causes dogs severe health problems and issues. Sure. Like, let's not do that anymore. Can we not do that? That's not cool.
Yeah, it's unfortunate turn of events from just inbreeding and breeding very specifics.
Dude, they had this. There's a website where you can go and say, here's what the German Shepherd looked like 100 years ago. Here's what it looks like now in the United States. Here's a picture of a beagle 100 years ago. Here's what it looks like
boxers.
Now.
Yep, same thing with boxers.
Because of what we've done. Because what we decided was beautiful, or the AKC decided was breed worthy. And so they overdid it. They said, well, now we want all bulldogs with completely smashed faces now. And now, they can't breathe. Anyhow, you're right. We've gone. I thought this was going to be like a 30-second thing we were going to do.
Well, I'm very much a dog person, so I've watched a number of documentaries. So I'm not an expert by any means, but I'm learned.
I knew this was going to be in your wheelhouse. I also want to say many thoughts going out to the fact that Norm Macdonald died. It was a shocker. No one saw it coming. He was very private about it. It was cancer. but Norm was probably one of the funniest dudes
Absolutely.
that ever
Yep.
rocked the planet. And we're going to miss him. I think
Yeah.
we are going to miss him. All right.
Yep.
So we got a bunch of questions from you, some with funny names, some with
From me?
not. For us.
No.
Yeah, we got some questions. So we're going to answer some subscriber questions. I'm guessing
We need like a theme song or something to, you know.
What? Subscriber questions. Wasn't good enough? What? I mean, what the fuck do I have to do? It's the Dog and Pony Show.
Stand on a ball and spin some fucking plates, Derek. Come on, entertain us.
While I'm doing that, I go, subscriber questions.
You gotta have like a harmonica, you know.
All right. So the first question is, and this is a lot of these people obviously watch Filippo's show because some of these are coming like, hey, why don't you guys talk about this too? The first one was, well, what do you guys think of the high ticket prices for the upcoming US versus Mexico game? I don't know. What do you think, Brett?
I honestly, at first I was a little outraged because you know, you look at it like half the ticket prices are like ridiculously high priced.
Yeah.
However, USSF came out and pointed something out, and after looking at the map in comparison to the prices, it makes a lot of sense that roughly about 80% of the tickets are like $140 or like about around $120 to $140. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think $140 is a ridiculously high price.
Yeah.
And I'm not paying that. But when you're looking at that lineup of prices and you see like, oh, there's an 800, there's a 700, there's a 650, there's this, and you're like, oh my god, like majority of them are like over the 140 range, and then all of a sudden you realize, you look at the map and you're like, oh no, it's a very small portion, but that $140 is still pricey for a single ticket.
It is. It is pricey. There's no doubt. I don't, as a people of the a man of the people, I don't like the fact that pretty much only, you know, there are going to be some people who probably shouldn't spend this money and they're going to do it because they are that dedicated to the U.S. men's national team. But really, these prices price a significant portion of the population out of going to this game and taking your family to this game. I don't like that. I understand USSF wants to make money. That's fine. But maybe don't hold it in such a goddamn shrinky dink stadium, such a small stadium too. So yeah, I mean, you're going to hold it in a small stadium. You just want to make the most money you can because you know that stadium's going to be full. So you sit down with the calculator and you're like, how do we get to this number? And that's beep up, beep up. That's what they did. And so it's not surprising, but it isn't the end of the world either. So
no, all the tickets will sell. Scalpers will be there in numbers, I'm sure, which sucks and I hate. Hopefully they're working. Hopefully for every home game, I'm hoping that they work with USSF works with American Outlaws in an attempt to try to create like some form of a package to enforce more of a pro-American stadium, whereas usually, regardless of who we play, we could play Jamaica and it would still be about like a 60-40 in our favor, which sucks, but it is what it is. But I'm just like, hopefully they're working with our supporter groups and trying to make sure that we get more pro-American fans in the stands, you know?
A lot of people I saw on Facebook today are pissed off because some of these AO guys who aren't going to be able to make the game are selling their particular seats and tickets for up to 4 times as much as the going rate for the seats. And I think that's not good either. So something they got to get a control of this in some way. And whenever I use the words, the USSF needs to get in control of this, it makes me worry. They're not good at controlling things and doing things in a rational, sensible way. They make lots of errors and mistakes, and they're kind of tone deaf too because they're so insular and elite. So yeah, it's not great. All right, we'll move on to question number 2. What is the weakest position on the U.S. men's national team? I feel like we've answered this question before, but not specifically, but we've talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely varied over time because historically speaking, it's always been left back.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make the argument still that it is still left back because once we drop Robinson, you're either pushing Dest out left or you're relying on Bello/Vines.
Yep.
Scally, in all honesty. I mean, Scally's going to do the work. So it may not necessarily be our weakest spot at this point. I also, outside of left back, and I even have it left back as maybe our second weakest position at this point, but I've got 9 as our weakest spot. Just simply because we cannot figure out, outside of Pepe's performance in Honduras, we cannot figure out how to get that number 9 working for us. And it's not the players. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of our 9s who went out there, some of them have had good games, some had bad games. But quite frankly, all of the games, even good and bad, our 9 is just non-existent. And it's just a position, you know? Yeah.
So I'm saying I'm agreeing with you because it is our weakest position. The question is whether it's the weakest position because Gregg doesn't know how to operate a 9 and hasn't been able to figure out how to get the 9 the ball. Which has been a huge problem. Is that on our 9s? Is that on Sargent? And people will point to that and say, well, then Sargent can't score goals with his club either. And so that's on Sargent. And then, well, you can't say the same thing about PFOC. He's scoring goals in bundles.
Yep.
You can't say that about Pepe. He's scoring goals in bundles. Okay, yeah, he just got a goal. But I don't think that's just, I think maybe PFOC might have scored that goal too. I don't know. But I don't think it the position is weak because of the players. I think the position is weak because of Gregg.
So let's take into consideration that that Pepe's only had 1 game, and it was a hell of a fucking game. Right. Great for Pepe. He's worked his way up through the depth, and quite frankly, in my opinion, should start the next game. Given purely off his club form and how well he performed in Honduras, I would give him the start.
Yeah,
but will he be able to duplicate that? Will he come out against in the next window and be able to perform as well as he did against Honduras? Or was that just a fluke instance of eagerness and youth and a great second half by the team?
And getting to play next to Aronson didn't hurt either.
Yeah. The big thing is again, we have talented players. We have players who can score. You mentioned PFOC scoring for his club. DK was scoring for multiple clubs prior to an injury in the Gold Cup. Sargent was actually the leading scorer for Werder Bremen, as low as that may have been, but and he's not scoring right now. But we have talented 9s, and there's no reason that these players should be left on an island or checking back into our half.
Yeah,
I mean, unless we're just in our defensive third, and they're by nature in our half, but they shouldn't be checking that deep as our 9 because I mean they should be our target, our focal point, and they should be the ones that are in the box getting on those crosses.
And you could say maybe CDM might be the next weakest spot because after Adams you're relying on Acosta, you're relying on Sands, and that's not optimum, but it's not hurt us yet necessarily too bad. I think Acosta's generally been okay.
Sure.
But, that could be the other spot people are going to say is weak. Because you can't say our wings are weak. They're not weak. There's
one spot. If there's one spot we're not worried about, it's that.
Right.
We're not worried about CBs. Quite frankly, I'm not worried about goalkeeper, despite the fact that we have 2 of them sitting on the bench for their respective clubs.
Horvath played yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll lost.
We'll see if that continues, though.
They lost 2-0, and all reports are that he played better than Bamba would have. So there's that. But I mean,
regardless, even not playing. I mean, Stefan, even at Man City, when Stefan had played for the United States, he played fine. When Horvath had to come in for Stefan, he did great. He played fine. Turner, who has been playing for his club, played for the All-Stars, played for the national team, has done well. I don't think goalkeeper is an actual concern of ours, despite the fact that, again, like I said, 2 out of our 3 are sitting the bench for the most part. I don't think center back is a concern. I definitely don't think right back's a concern.
No, right back's loaded. So center back's I don't know. I mean, I got my questions. about
Well,
center back.
sure, but I'm fine literally with 1 through 5 / maybe even 6. Quite frankly,
I agree. But the only guy I'm really 100% balls
Robinson.
out supporting is Robinson right
Absolutely,
now.
absolutely, yeah.
And then Brooks went back to Europe and had a shitty game and got a red card.
Yep.
And in the
Poor
Champions
guy.
League. Yeah. I mean, he had a shitty game with us. Then he went home and had a shitty game. So he's got to fix something here because, there's a mentality thing going on there with Brooks too, even with the U.S. men's national team. It's a little negative. But we'll get into that in a later show. Let's cut it off here.
Yeah.
And we're going to go on to the next question. But thank you guys for sending in the questions, and I am doing my thanking. All right, I'm thanking Harry Budlicker, and Willie Peters Putts. Well, that sounds redundant. Willie Peter Putts. That's redundant. I think Putts is Jewish for penis. All right, so that's 3 penises in a row. Nobody needs that. Well, I mean, unless
depends on what realm of Pornhub you're venturing down. So
yeah, I guess some people do need that, or they do need to make money. Anyhow, until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we'll be back with your next questions.